Can a person who is not a pharmacist open and own a retail pharmacy in Kenya? Now, this is one of the most frequently asked questions about the Kenyan pharmacy business. You may have the capital, you may have identified an excellent location to set up the pharmacy. You may even be willing to employ a qualified pharmacist or a pharmaceutical technologist, but does that legally allow you to own the pharmacy? The direct answer, based on the current guidance from the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, is no. A person who is neither a registered pharmacist nor an enrolled pharmaceutical technologist cannot simply establish a pharmacy, employ a professional, and continue owning the business as an ordinary investor. The Pharmacy and Poisons Board states that a person cannot carry on a pharmacy business unless the premises have current approval and all holders of financial interest in the business are registered pharmacists or enrolled pharmaceutical technologists. And that is the official regulatory position at the time of recording this video. However, there is a great deal of confusion around this subject. And in this video, I'll explain the difference between owning a pharmacy, working in a pharmacy, financing a pharmacy, and taking professional responsibility for one. My name is Dr. Libea Bethwell, and I'm a pharmacist with experience across different areas of the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm also the author of the Kenyan Retail Pharmacy Startup Checklist, From Dream to Dispensary in 6 months. I'll put the link to this book in the comment section. Please check it out. And so I would like us to begin by understanding why pharmacy ownership is regulated. Because a pharmacy is not just an ordinary retail shop. A pharmacy sells products, it receives payments, it employs staff, and pays operating expenses just like other businesses. However, it is not an ordinary shop. A pharmacy handles products that can significantly affect people's lives and also health. And decisions made inside this setup, which is a pharmacy, may involve prescriptions, dosages, interaction, contraindication, storage conditions, and referrals to other healthcare professionals. So if a poor decision is made, it can cause real harm to the health of a person or even cause death. A pharmacy handles products that can significantly affect people's health, and decisions made inside the pharmacy may involve prescriptions, may involve dosage, interactions, contraindications, storage conditions, and referrals to other healthcare professionals. Now, if poor decisions are made inside the pharmacy, they can cause real harm. And for this reason, the law does not treat the sale of medicines in the same way as the sale of clothes or furniture or general household products. And the profession itself, the premise and the supply of medicines are all regulated. And the primary legislation is the Pharmacy and Poisons Act, which is commonly referred to as CAP 244. And the Pharmacy and Poisons Board is responsible for regulating pharmacy practice and the manufacture and trade of health products and technologies. A pharmacy, therefore, requires more than business registration from its citizen. Registering a company or a business name does not automatically authorize that entity to operate a pharmacy, and the proposed premises must also undergo the applicable registration, the licensing, and the inspection process. The professionals involved must have the necessary registration, the enrollment, and current practice authorization. One of the reasons people become confused is that several different roles exist within a pharmacy business. There is the owner or person holding the financial interest. There is the superintendent who carries the main professional and regulatory responsibility for the premises. There may also be other pharmacists or pharmaceutical technologists, support staff, and business administrators. These roles should not be treated as interchangeable. Providing capital does not make someone a pharmacy professional. Similarly, employing a pharmacist does not necessarily make an otherwise prohibited ownership arrangement lawful. The current PPB guidance goes beyond requiring a qualified person to be physically present. It states that all holders of financial interest in the pharmacy business must be registered pharmacists or enrolled pharmaceutical technologies. Therefore, the common statement that anyone can own a pharmacy as long as they employ a pharmacist is misleading. Employing a professional may form part of the staffing requirements, but it does not by itself resolve the ownership requirement. Another common practice is what people informally call hiring, borrowing, or renting a license or leasing a license, where someone provides the money and controls the business. A pharmacist or pharmaceutical technologies allows their documents or name to be used during the application. Now, the professional may receive a monthly payment but have little involvement in the actual operation of the pharmacy. This is not a safe or responsible way to establish a pharmacy. A professional named as the superintendent is not simply providing a document. That is not their role. That person assumes professional and regulatory responsibilities for the premise. They're expected to provide proper oversight and ensure that the pharmacy complies with the relevant requirements. If their name appears on the license while unqualified individuals make professional decisions without supervision, both the business and the professional may face serious consequences. And the premises may fail inspection or have its application declined or face regulatory action or lose its authority to operate. Or the professional could also face disciplinary consequences. Most importantly, patients may be exposed to unsafe practice. If a business arrangement depends on hiding the true owner, submitting inaccurate information, or pretending that a professional controls a business when they do not, that should be treated as a major warning sign. Some people believe that registering a limited company automatically solves the ownership problem. It does not solve the ownership problem. A company is a legal business structure. It does not remove the professional and regulatory requirements that apply to pharmacy practice. The Pharmacy and Poisons Board, or Pharmacy and Poisons Act, recognizes that pharmacy business can involve a body corporate. However, the business must still comply with the applicable rules concerning financial interest, professional control, premises registration, and licensing. The names of the shareholders, the directors, and responsible professionals may form part of the application and review process. You should therefore design the ownership structure before registering the business, not after signing a lease or purchasing stock. A company structure that is acceptable for a restaurant, hardware shop, or general retail business may not satisfy the requirements for a pharmacy. You may be asking, what if a non-pharmacist wants to support a pharmacy business? Now, there are legitimate ways for non-pharmacy professionals to participate in the wider healthcare and pharmaceutical sector. However, the exact arrangement must comply with the law and should be reviewed before money changes hands. A non-pharmacist might provide lawful financing without acquiring a prohibited ownership interest, or they might lease suitable premises to a properly licensed pharmacy business, or they might supply permitted technology, logistics, accounting, marketing, or other support services. They may also invest in healthcare businesses that do not involve carrying on the regulated business of a pharmacist. But each arrangement must be evaluated carefully. Changing the title from owner to consultant or financier does not automatically make an arrangement lawful. Regulators and courts can consider the substance of an arrangement, not only the label placed on it. Who provided the capital? Who receives the profit from the business? Who controls the bank account for this particular business? Who makes business decisions? Those are some of the things that courts can consider, or even regulator, or who bears the commercial risk for this business and who has the true financial interest. Now, these are important questions. And anyone considering such an arrangement should obtain written clarification from the Pharmacy and Poisons Board and appropriate legal advice. Do this before registering the company or signing a lease or transferring capital. So what are the qualifications that are recognized by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. The PPB guidance refers to two professional categories in relation to holders of financial interest, that is, a registered pharmacist or an enrolled pharmaceutical technologist. However, being trained in another healthcare profession does not automatically qualify a person to own or practice in a pharmacy. Being a doctor, being a nurse, a clinical officer, a laboratory professional, or general business person does not make someone a pharmacist or a pharmaceutical technologist. Similarly, having experience selling pharmaceutical products does not replace professional registration. A person should confirm their current professional status through the Pharmacy and Poisons Board's register. And professional registration should also not be confused with an annual practice license. Depending on the role and the application, the board may require evidence of current professional authorization and relevant experience. A pharmacy also requires a superintendent who satisfies the applicable PPB requirements. The superintendent is responsible for professional oversight as well as regulatory compliance at the premises. And this includes areas such as proper storage of medicines, record keeping, handling of prescriptions, supervision of personnel who are manning the premise, and compliance with good pharmacy practice, and ensuring that the premises operate within the permitted scope. The superintendent should be genuinely involved in the pharmacy. And this is not a ceremonial appointment. It is not a ceremonial appointment. A business owner should not expect the superintendent to sign documents and then disappear. Similarly, a superintendent should never agree to take responsibility for premises they cannot properly supervise. And therefore, before entering such a relationship, the parties should clearly document roles, authority, working arrangements, remuneration, access to records, and the process to follow if the relationship ends. And here are 3 mistakes that you need to avoid if you are planning a pharmacy. First, do not rely on information from an unverified consultant. Ask for the specific law. Ask for the regulation or PPB guidelines supporting their advice. Second, do not pay someone merely to lend your professional documents. A pharmacy license is not a product that can be rented. Third, do not invest money before confirming whether the ownership structure and the proposed premises can be approved. Business registration, renovation, and purchasing stock should not be your first steps. Regulatory due diligence should come first. So, what should prospective investors do? If you are not a pharmacist or a pharmaceutical technologist, but you're interested in this sector, take the following preliminary steps. First, write down exactly what role you want to play. Do you want to own the pharmacy or the business? Do you want to lend money? Do you want to provide premises or supply technology or deliver another service? Secondly, review the current Pharmacy and Poisons Act and the PPB licensing guidelines. Thirdly, submit your specific ownership structure to the Pharmacy and Poisons Board for clarification. Fourthly, consult a Kenyan lawyer who understands healthcare and pharmaceutical regulation. And finally, do not transfer money or sign binding agreements until the arrangement has been properly evaluated. The cost of professional advice is usually much lower than the cost of establishing a business that cannot be licensed. So, can a non-pharmacist own a retail pharmacy in Kenya? Under the current PPB guidance, all holders of financial interest in the pharmacy business must be registered pharmacist or enrolled pharmaceutical technologist. Employing a pharmacist does not automatically allow an unqualified investor to own the pharmacy. Registering a limited company does not remove this requirement, and using another person's license without genuine professional control is not an acceptable shortcut. Because laws and licensing policies can change, always confirm the current requirements directly with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board before making an investment. If you are a pharmacist or a pharmaceutical technologist and you are planning to establish a retail pharmacy, I've prepared a detailed guide titled The Kenyan Retail Pharmacy Startup Checklist from Dream to Dispensary in 6 months. The guide covers market selection, it covers location analysis, regulatory preparation, premises requirements, inventory, marketing, financial planning, and profitability. You can purchase your copy through the link in the comment section and also in the description. And in the next video, we will answer another major question. How much money do you actually need to start a retail pharmacy in Kenya? We will examine the major cost categories and explain why opening stock is only one part of the required capital. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss when I upload it. If you have a question about pharmacy ownership, leave it in the comments. Please avoid sharing confidential details about your proposed business arrangement publicly. I'll be looking forward to seeing your questions. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.